Welcome to Drive Safe Now. So, you're a parent, and that moment is here. You're about to hand over the car keys to your teenager. A little nerve-wracking, right? Well, this is for you. We're going to break down an expert-backed playbook that's all about turning that anxiety into confidence. The goal? To help you coach a safe driver for life. Let's kick things off with a number that really frames the whole challenge we're talking about. Look at this, 8.5%. Now, get this. Teens make up just over 5% of all drivers on the road, but they're involved in 8.5% of all fatal crashes. That gap, you see that gap between those two numbers? That's the risk. And that's exactly what we're here to help you manage. And that risk isn't the same for everyone. The data here is, well, it's pretty stark. Young male drivers are more than twice as likely to be in a fatal crash compared to young female drivers. Now, this isn't about pointing fingers at all. It's about understanding the reality so we know where to focus our coaching and be extra vigilant. So, the big question is, how do we tackle this? Well, we've broken it all down into a simple 5-part playbook. Each step is designed to take you from, a nervous passenger gripping the dashboard to a really effective and confident driving coach. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, understanding the risk. We need to get to the why behind those statistics we just saw. Because it's not as simple as, oh, they're just young. No, it's actually about a really predictable set of challenges that every new teen driver faces. Now, here's what's really interesting. When you look at the top reasons for teen crashes, things like lack of skill, getting distracted, especially with friends in the car, and speeding, you start to see a hopeful pattern. You know why? Because these are all behaviors. And that is fantastic news because behaviors can be coached, they can be practiced, and they can be changed. So, if the problems are behavioral, what's the solution? Where do we even start? Well, it starts with the single most effective tool we have in our arsenal for cutting down teen driver risk. It's called the Graduated Driver Licensing System, or GDL for short. And a GDL system isn't just a bunch of random rules made to annoy teenagers. Not at all. Think of it more like a structured journey. It works by systematically limiting their exposure to the riskiest situations. Things like driving late at night or with a car full of friends. And the results are incredible. It's been proven to cut a teen's crash risk by up to 50%, half. That's huge. So here's how it works. It's a really logical 3-stage process. First, you've got the learner's permit. This is all about building skills with you, the parent, right there. Then they move on to an intermediate license, which gives them a bit more freedom, but still has some key restrictions on that high-risk stuff. And finally, once they've proven they're ready, they get their full license. And believe me, those restrictions are absolutely vital. Why? Check this out. Research shows that a teen driver is 2.5 times more likely to do something risky with just one friend in the car. Just one. It's such a powerful and honestly predictable form of distraction. Okay, so this brings us to the most important part of this whole equation, and that's you. Your job isn't just to be a chaperone, sitting there logging hours in a book. To really truly make a difference, you have to shift your mindset and become an active coach. Here's a fantastic little trick to frame your coaching. Give your teen this mental image. Drive so smoothly that a cup of water on the dashboard wouldn't spill. Why is that so powerful? Because being smooth with the brakes, the gas, the steering isn't just about a comfy ride. It's proof that they're thinking ahead, anticipating the road, instead of just reacting to whatever pops up. So what does being an active coach actually look like in the car? Well, it means giving short, to-the-point feedback right in the moment. It means you've got to practice in all kinds of conditions. Don't just stick to sunny days on quiet roads. Get out there in the rain, at night, in city traffic. And here's a big one. Talk out loud when you're driving. Explain why you're slowing down or why you're leaving extra space. Let them hear your thought process. Now, your coaching is absolutely critical, but don't forget about professional training. It provides such a powerful foundation. The numbers show that teens who finish a proper driver's ed course are a whopping 24% less likely to be in a serious crash. That's a huge safety boost. But wait, look at this. This is where things get really, really interesting with modern coaching. When you bring in technology, like one of those monitoring apps, and you use that data to have real coaching conversations, well, the reduction in unsafe driving is just staggering. We're talking up to 85%. That's not a typo, it's a game changer. Okay, so we've got the skills down. Now let's talk about turning those skills into an automatic, life-saving habit. This is all about building a defensive driving mindset. The goal here isn't just to react to problems, it's to see them coming and avoid them long before they even have a chance to become an emergency. And here's a simple 5-step process you can teach them. It's called SIPDE, SIPDE. It stands for search, identify, predict, decide, and execute. It's basically a mental checklist they should be running constantly. It turns them from just a passive person behind the wheel into an active risk manager, always in control of the space around them. And a core part of that whole mindset is the 3-second rule. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's simple. When the car in front of you passes a sign or a tree, you should be able to count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 before you pass the same spot. It is the easiest, most effective way to give yourself a life-saving buffer zone. All right, let's talk about crisis mode. Rehearsing this stuff in your head is so important. Let's take hydroplaning, when the car slides on water. Here's the drill. First, grip the wheel firmly. Second, slowly take your foot off the gas. And the absolute golden rule, do not slam on the brakes. You have to fight that instinct and just let the car coast until the tires find the road again. And what about this nightmare scenario? Total brake failure. It's super rare, but you need to know what to do. The key is to stay calm and follow the steps. First, try pumping the brake pedal hard and fast. Then, slowly shift down to a lower gear to let the engine help slow you down. And only then, as a last resort, cautiously apply the emergency brake. Okay, last section. After all the practice, all the coaching, how do you make sure those high standards stick when you're not in the passenger seat anymore? Well, Section 5 is all about accountability. And it starts with something simple but powerful. A written parent-teen driving contract. And your contract needs to have some absolute non-negotiables. These have to address the biggest risks head-on. That means an absolute ban on any cell phone use, zero tolerance for alcohol or drugs, strict adherence to the GDL rules, passengers, curfews, all of it. And of course, always obeying traffic laws and speed limits. These aren't just rules, they're the foundation of trust. But this brings up a really important question. What happens if they find themselves in a dangerous spot? Maybe their ride has been drinking, or maybe they made a mistake themselves. The last thing we want is for them to get behind the wheel or get in a car with an impaired driver just because they're scared of getting in trouble for calling you. And that's why this next part is probably the most important clause in the entire contract. You have to include an absolute guarantee of a safe, consequence-free ride home, anytime, from anywhere, with no questions asked in that moment. This sends the clearest possible message. Your life is more important than any mistake you could possibly make. It's more important than any argument we might have. This is their lifeline. So you see, when you follow this playbook, you're doing so much more than just teaching someone how to pass a test. You are coaching a safe driver for life. You've taught them the skills, you've set the rules, but the real question is this. Have you empowered them to make the safe choice, especially when you're not there in the seat next to them? Because that is the ultimate goal.